But you go to sports clips?
Yeah, they get me right. Yeah, no, they what I like about it is I love the MVP treatment. Obviously, you got to get that when you go, and they keep track of like your last haircut and all that. And I got a specific barber that I go to or stylist, and yeah. So shout out Elise.
I just started going to sports clips as well. I found out there's one near where I live, and guess who else goes to that sports clips? Ryan Roland Smith and his son.
That's right.
Yeah, dude. I got there and I'm wearing my Mariners shirt or jacket, whatever the heck I had on. And the lady's like, "Oh, you a Mariners fan?" I'm like, "Oh, of course." Of course I whip out the business card and give her the Monday Mojo business card. But then she starts talking about Ryan Roland Smith and how him and his son will always go in there. And she like talks to him all the time. She's buddy with them. I'm like, one of these days, I'm gonna be in there the same time he's in there with his kid. I'm gonna get him on the show. I tried DMing him, but he never reached out.
I know, yeah, I saw that too. So just that's the way to do it, and make sure you have a Monday Mojo business card in your wallet too. As well.
I have so many. Yeah. My wallet. If you were to look at my wallet, you'd think I have a shit ton of money in it because it's so fat. But I don't. I just have a shit ton of business cards in it. So that's what makes it so fat. Yeah. One day it'll be fat with money.
Oh, for sure. It's coming from this podcast too.
Yeah,
of course, we'll be bringing in the dough.
We're coming at you on Sunday, July 18th. We've got the full squad. We've got Evan Barron. We've got Chris Zweifel. We've got Christopher Sobba. And yours truly, Max Schwabe. We're back from the All-Star break. And we just wrapped up a series with the Angels, a 3-game series. We're at 50 wins. Congrats, boys. The Chris's were just in a discussion about potentially going down to Colorado to see the Mariners play the Rockies. And Sobba, what do you have to say about being spontaneous?
That I'm spontaneous. I mean, when I just want to go to see the Mariners play, and I get the thought in my head, and then I'm like, all right, now I want to do it. And so now I want to do it.
When did you make this, or when did you come up with this thought?
About 2 hours ago at 3 o'clock.
Yeah, I mean, that's why spontaneity is pretty fun, but it's also scares the shit out of me. Like, I get there in Colorado, and then I'm looking at you, and we're both blacked out. I'm wondering, what the hell am I doing here with this guy? I don't even know him. He's barking at the moon. He's howling like a dog. Like, shit, I don't know what's going to happen.
Well,
get me out in Colorado, get you in that high altitude.
Yeah, I was about to say, are you getting especially drunk because of the altitude, or is it just for the?
Well, you go that far, you're going to get blacked out
the
one night.
Aesthetics, yeah.
Okay, I guess I got that far.
Yeah.
I overuse the term blacked out so much. Like, to me, that just means drunk.
Yeah, fair enough. What are we talking about today?
Well, I mean, first thing we can recap. I know it seems like forever ago now, but the All-Star weekend or week, I guess, was pretty good. I actually really enjoyed the home run derby and seeing Pete Alonso getting as like locked in as he was. Did you guys see like any of that is like mid home run derby interview?
No, but I know that he absolutely dominated. Like, so they were saying that it was the most dominant home run derby performance that we've ever seen.
Yeah, no, it was unreal. The dude was just like taking hack after hack after hack and hitting homer after homer after homer. Him 35 in the first round, I think was the final number for the first round, which is a record broken by himself last year's or 2 years ago's home run derby. But it was just fun seeing that. And then with Shohei Ohtani and Juan Soto in the first round, I know the media was hyping up Shohei, obviously, and it's Shohei, but he didn't even get out of the first round. But
it's also Shohei, right?
Shohei.
Yeah, and it's not Sato, it's Soto.
Okay, whatever. Anyway,
I wonder if you're doing that on purpose. Like,
aren't we doing a baseball podcast?
It wasn't on purpose, but it shit didn't sound right coming out of my mouth either.
Right.
So I guess thanks for calling me out.
But you went with it.
I went with it. I'm not gonna say that I was wrong unless somebody's gonna tell me that I was wrong. I'm not gonna come out of the woodwork and say, "Oh, I was wrong." Like, that's not the way I roll.
So are you eating a peanut butter sandwich?
I just finished a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Yeah, you sound like a dog with peanut butter in your tongue.
Maybe that was it. We'll blame it on it's Juan Soto, obviously, and Shohei Ohtani. Obviously, we all know the names. Come on.
Okay, moving on. What was your point?
I don't know. Now I'm so lost after that train wreck of a conversation. But it was good. Their first round home run derby, it took it into like, I guess, extra innings, if you want to call it, air quotes on that. But they went and it ended up being like one hit, 3 homers.
A swing off.
Swing off. Thank you. Swing off. And I thought that was pretty sweet. The only thing I didn't like about the home run derby, and I guess it's tough with the structure of having a time limit, is you as fans, if you're not at the park, even if you are at the park, I mean, you don't get a chance to see each home run and see how far each one really went because it's happening like rapid fire. And so you have to see that, it's going out onto the next pitch. It's going out onto the next pitch. You can't really keep track of where they land and whatnot to really admire the bombs that are hit. Other than that, I thought it was a really good, really, job well done by the MLB. But yeah, that's kind of my 2 cents. I mean, Pete Alonso, though, what a savage. I absolutely love that guy. And hats off to Trey Mancini, beating cancer, coming back and coming in second place in the home run derby. And just, I've said this on this podcast and I say it every time, or not every time, but a lot, baseball is poetic. And that's one of the other things. Sports in general are poetic, but for this purpose, the podcast, baseball is poetic. Trey Mancini doing what he does. And it's cool. It was really cool to see him have that personal comeback.
Yeah. Another thing about the All-Star game, the one I didn't watch the celebrity softball game, but didn't DK just strike out?
Yeah,
he whiffed.
He told him that he wanted to hit a home run, and then he comes and strikes out his first at bat.
Who was well, it wasn't who was pitching, but it was the next batter. It was
softball player.
Yeah, no. Well, the softball player was pitching, but there was a rap artist from Migos.
No, he was pitching.
He was. No, you're right. The Migos artist was pitching, struck out DK, and the next batter was a softball gal who hit a dinger. Jenny Finch.
I think
that was fun to watch.
It was, but at the same time, like
it was like
if they have any intent. And I don't think that they do. The league or whoever runs the Celebrity All-Star softball game. Yeah. If they have any intent on having that have any positive viewership, they need to get people who can actually play the fucking game because they were so bad. So bad. I'm sitting there and us in our beer league softball, we would dominate. If we got the figurehead squad out there to play against them, oh my God, it'd be a shit show. But dude, they were so bad. This.
Look, we're talking about DK Metcalf right now, and he was so bad.
I know.
I'm gonna go ahead and disagree. I don't need my wide receiver to be out there hitting.
Yeah,
get out there and do something, and then we'll talk about it.
I'm coming from the spot of I want to be a celebrity and I want to be in that game.
Yeah,
it is a bonus if they're good, but either be really good or be really bad. You can't be in the middle.
I guess.
I agree.
Yes,
but it's also my one argument to you, Zweifel, is you look at a guy like DK Metcalf. He's one of our most celebrated Seahawks players, and watching the most ripped man, definitely in the Pacific Northwest at least, but arguably in the country, one of them in his own way, strike out with the 30-mile-per-hour softball lob.
Hey, those big loopers that are slow are hard to hit, man.
Dude, his job is to catch footballs. Anyway,
just goes to show how hard baseball is.
No, sure, yeah,
and they need to swing a bat.
Yeah, I'm not talking trash on DK's football game, but come on, man,
it wasn't very good.
I'm gonna have to sit down DK this week. I'm gonna throw him a chair.
No, we haven't sat anybody down for a minute.
I know. I'm scared of sitting DK down though. I don't think he's going to listen to this.
Then also though, in the actual All-Star game, not the celebrity softball All-Star game, there was a moment in time where Taijuan Walker was pitching with Omar Narvaez behind the plate and Chris Taylor, who was making catches in center field, and Mike Zunino hitting a bomb, who then ended up high-fiving Nelson Cruz.
Wow.
A lot of ex-Mariners in that game. Most Chris of Taylor. Which. Yeah, Chris Taylor's just the one that stings, I guess, the most because he's been the best at, in terms of where he's at in his career. Right. Nelson Cruz is obviously, we just didn't re-sign him because he was expensive and the timing wasn't right. And then Taijuan Walker, that one actually stings a lot too. But for the most part, I was really happy to see those guys in there doing their thing. And while we were talking shit about Zunino being in there, making the All-Star game, he comes up and proves us wrong with an Apo bomb. So good for him. I thought that was pretty sweet.
I still think it's backwards that he made the All-Star game, but I don't know how he got in there, but he
There's just
proved
no
his
good
case
offensive
just being there.
catchers.
No,
No,
not yet.
I mean, Grandal for the White Sox is pretty good, but I think it's wonky with like the fan vote. So I think Grandal has a poor average too, but also hits a lot of dingers and has a high slugging percentage. And you could argue that he had a little bit better numbers, I don't know exactly what happened, but I mean, with the fan vote, it's up to, it's up to just crazy diehards for their respective cities. So if Tampa Bay gets out there and votes more than the Southsiders of Chicago, then
right.
you're going to see Big Mike Z in there swinging the old toothpick.
Speaking of, well, I guess I'll segue to this in a second, but another aspect.
You didn't like that, Sobba?
I liked it, dude.
I was already thinking about what I was going to say. But what I did also like seeing with the MLB, they were miking players up in the middle of like play.
Yeah.
And the last time they did it though, with Liam Hendricks on the mound, the Chicago White Sox closer, they had the earpiece in his ear. And it seemed like he couldn't hear them, but we as fans and then the reporters, whoever were on the other line, they could hear him as well. It's like he was cursing and saying it. And it was just like, being emotional. And as a closer, I mean, you're locked in and you got to be, right? And I'm like, the whole time I'm thinking if Liam Hendricks can hear them right now, that's got to throw him off, like without a doubt, because they end up like also play-by-play commentating while they're trying to talk with him. They tried to like talk with him multiple times, but I think it was pretty clear that he could not hear them, which I think is a good thing. Mm-hmm. But an Aussie closing out the All-Star game, Shohei Ohtani from Japan, and then Vlad Guerrero from Toronto. We had all internationals doing big things in the All-Star game, which I thought was pretty sweet. But I was just thinking with Liam Hendricks being from Australia, I was just thinking the whole time how Ryan Roland Smith had to have loved that because he's Aussie himself.
Hyphen.
Yes, hyphen. Second time he's come up on the show already, actually today, which is, I guess, good for him. Good, shout out to you, hyphen.
Sorry, how is that? When was he brought up first?
It was before you hopped on.
Okay,
I get my haircut at the same place that Ryan Roland Smith's son get his haircuts at.
Oh, go figure.
Yeah, had a nice little chit chat with the Baba.
We should get Ryan Roland Smith on this podcast.
I tried reaching out. He didn't reply.
Okay. Well, we're working on it. On the topic of Vlad Guerrero Jr., that man is an absolute savage. I mean, you talk about Shohei Ohtani, that goes without saying. He's a phenomenal pitcher and a good hitter. But Vlad, since the All-Star break ended, I guess there's been 3 games, but he's had 3 home runs in three games.
He had 2 in one game.
Yeah, exactly. He had 2 on Saturday.
Dude, he's got
31.
He's also got like the biggest ass in the MLB. Dude, he's got a wagon, man. Like that guy has a trunk on it. It's
he's a big.
We call it a power source, not called.
Yeah.
I like calling them wagons.
Vladdy Senior. He was a pretty thin, structured guy, or at least for the most part, right?
100%.
Yeah.
Not a twig, but he wasn't a twig. Thin is the wrong word, but thinner than his son. His son Vlad, who did lose like 15 pounds over the off season. They did want him to slim up a little, but he's still much husky, much more husky than Senior was. I hated Senior, not hated, just I hated playing him.
No, I know.
Yeah, dude, he wrecked us.
He
wrecked everybody.
Yeah, I didn't like playing against him either.
No.
We're talking about wagons. Go look at that guy's wagon.
He had a big wagon?
Whose wagon?
Yeah.
Senior.
Vladdy Senior?
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. He's not the pudgy. He's not the same frame as Junior. Not Vlad Guerrero Jr. That is the pudgy. He's not as pudgy, but I mean, he had it big legs, and he was even a little bit taller.
I guess so. Yeah, I'm thinking about it. Yeah, you're right.
But yeah, he's a little thinner.
Anyway,
you guys want to get on to the Mariners? I mean,
well, before we dive into the last series, I also was curious if you guys saw that Manfred came out with kind of expectations for next year in terms of the rules that they've been tinkering with. looks like they're going to be eliminating the 7-inning doubleheaders, and there's a more look into banning the shift, and then also potentially removing the runner on second base in extra innings.
These are all
the new rules.
Yeah, exactly. These are all rules that were made like less than 4 years ago.
Yeah, and so they're looking at going away with them, and I'm like, Jesus, man, figure out what you want, I guess. Yeah. But I mean, the only way to really figure that out is putting them into play. I'm fine with eliminating the 7-inning doubleheaders because those are just rare, I guess.
That's the only one I like.
What's that?
That's the only one I like. I like the 7.
Hold on. You're telling me as a Mariners fan you don't like the runner on second base?
It's been beneficial, but like
it's been beneficial.
They're trying to shorten games.
It's been almost a guaranteed win for us.
10-1. That's just like selfishly as a Mariner fan. Yeah, sure, I like it, but I mean, as you're trying to shorten a game when it's getting the most interesting. Like I have no problem sitting around and watching the game when it's in the 11th inning. Like this is when the game's interesting. They're trying to shorten the game from the 9th inning until whenever the game ends. Like that's not how you deal with this problem that they have. The games are too long or whatever.
I think it has more to do. It's like, I don't know. There were a couple of instances with the NFL, right, where I don't know, or maybe it was college football or something. But like, I think the intention with these rules is more so for the players' sake, right? Because playing nine innings of baseball, it is a lot for an adult, let alone, well, anyway, I think these kind of rules are in place just for the players' sake, right? Just for like, I don't know, the players' health or safety or.
I think the doubleheader rule is for the players, so they're not
right. Exactly. Yeah.
I think they've made a concerted effort to, speed the games up, and however they're doing that with the pitch clock or with all these different rules that they're trying to bring in, and this runner on second, it's just like we want the games to be sped up. We don't want 4-hour games and the middle of June on a Wednesday when no one's watching. It's like, dude, if I made it all the way to the 9th inning and it's tied 4-4, I have no problem sticking around and seeing how this thing plays out without any help with a guy on second. I'm not, and I don't hate the rule either. It's kind of fun that a guy's in scoring position, but I mean, I just think you don't need it. You don't need it. It's just wonky. You don't need an imaginary runner on second.
Right. Right. Ghost runner on second.
You can disagree too, Chris. I mean, I'm not speaking the gospel here.
What's what's the consensus on 3 of these ideas? Number 1 is banning the shift. Number 2 is limiting the 7-inning doubleheaders. I personally, right off the bat, without a doubt. Wait, how do I feel about that? No, the 7-inning doubleheaders, I'm okay with it being 7-inning games, right? For the doubleheaders. That's easy for me. The other 2 that I'm wondering is banning the shift or removing the runner on second extra innings rule.
I saw somebody tweet out, I don't know who it was, but it somewhat, pun intended here, shifted my viewpoint on banning the shift.
Wow.
With how the NFL, they have blitz packages. They have different formations, right?
Mm-hmm.
With the MLB, you should still be able to shift around the players, but they still having the feet touching the dirt, right? They can't be in the grass. Like they have to have boundaries for where the shift, how far the shift can really go, right?
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
That's what I think. That's what I think. And there's no rule for that right now. You can obviously have 4 freaking outfielders, which that happened earlier in the season with that game that we were at when Jake Fraley was up to bat. They put 4 in the outfield and only had 3 infielders, all on the right side.
Right.
So that you didn't have a third baseman, you didn't have a shortstop, and so like they should still have to be in their general area. But there's only so far that you need to take it, I think. So that's kind of my new viewpoint. Originally, I hated the shift, and mostly because we were getting wrecked by it as Seattle Mariners. And Seager couldn't figure it out and how to hit it up top with Taco. But that's, players around the league are getting better at doing that. And so, beating the defense on a shift like that. But it's how far are you going to take it to how far can they shift? And that's what I think they need to limit is how far they're moving.
I mean, I'm against the shift because it's completely made ground balls that's the whole reason we've seen this move towards like people trying to elevate the ball and hit home runs, because a ground ball is considered an out now. With all the analytics that they have, they know where to position their defenders, that if you hit the ball on the ground, it's either a single, which isn't a like very high quality hit, it's not guaranteed run if you get a single.
Right.
And then if you put the ball on the ground nowadays, with how they've looked at all the data, you're probably going to be out, because they have you positioned perfectly. So, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but yeah, it's just two guys. Split it down the middle. You have to have two guys on this right side of second base, two guys on the left side of second base. And then, you might make a rule of how far you can go back. You might have to be on the dirt, like you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to get rid of the shift, and I want to get rid of the ghost runner on second, but I like the double headers.
Yeah, I agree. I think we get rid of the shift. I think we get rid of the runner on second in extra innings. And I think we keep around the 7-inning doubleheaders, because, I mean, even as a pro baseball player, I mean, if you love the game, that's great. You can play 2 9-inning games in one day, but it seems like a lot.
It's not really fair to, like, say a road team that comes into a home, just say like the White Sox, who don't have a roof on their stadium, and then the game gets rained out.
Yeah.
We got to go a doubleheader the next day, and we use our whole bullpen. And then we're on a road trip. So the next day we have to fly out to Boston, and our whole bullpen is depleted because the friggin' White Sox don't have a roof on their stadium.
Right.
That's not fair to us. Like,
that's a good point.
So what you're suggesting is the new rule is every stadium has to have a roof on it.
Yeah, I mean, that should have already been mandated.
Yeah. I agree.
You can't tell teams now to go build a new stadium. Maybe you
that's true.
Maybe you could be like, hey, by 20,
I don't know, they're telling it to Oakland.
Yeah, they are.
That was long overdue. But maybe what you could do is tell every team right now, be like, hey, and there's not that many, but there's like 12 or there's a little under half for sure. But tell all those teams, hey, by 2030, that's fine. You got to have a new stadium. You got to have a roof. You got to do something, or else you're in jeopardy of getting your team moved.
Yeah, that's a valid point.
Well, I guess we can move on now.
Let's move on to the
them boys in blue.
What the boys of summer? We've reached our 50th win.
I've been eyeing that number, man, for it feels like 2 weeks. Like, when are we going to get to 50? We're finally there. We're at 50, and we're 2.5 back again of the wild card.
Let's go. And the A's lost today.
A's lost today. Yes. The A's
Cleveland's on fire too.
Cleveland's on fire, but the A's have lost 15 of their last 24 games.
Wow. Yeah.
Yes. So they're hitting a little bump in the road.
Yeah.
And they've, for the most part, besides their first like 6, 7, 8 games of the season, they were terrible. I think they lost did they lose 10 in a row to start the year?
It was 8 or something.
It was rough.
Something around
8 or 9.
Something around there. And then since that point, they'd been on an absolute tear. And then as of late, 15 of the last 24, they've taken L's. That's a good sign as Mariner fans to see.
Yeah.
But one interesting fact I found out yesterday. So in Kyle Seager's decade of a career, yesterday was the first time he had ever walked 4 times in one game.
Seager walked 4 times?
Yeah, four walks yesterday, which is crazy.
4 strikeouts is a golden sombrero. What's 4 walks?
That's a golden sombrero for the pitchers? To one player? I don't know. That definitely doesn't have a name.
No, it doesn't.
If it does, I don't know it. But another one then, our boy Luis Torrens, who has been doing very, very, very well. He's only had 50 at-bats for the Mariners this year. And he's got 10 home runs in those 50 at-bats. Pretty freaking good.
That can't be accurate.
50 games. 50 games. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
50 games.
Yeah.
50 games.
Yeah.
10 dingers.
That seems like.
Yeah. No, that was wrong.
Yeah. Thank you.
It was partially wrong. I misspoke. But I'm loving what he's doing, man. He's just hitting bombs. He hit one which was like out of the strike zone, up top, out of the strike zone heater, and hit it deep to left center. It was great to see. But
it's power to all fields. He's not just pulling the ball. Like today, it was left center home run. We've seen him at the game you were at. He went right center. Like he against lefties. If you put the ball up in the zone, he's got that home run swing, that sweet swing. and his barrel rate, I think is these are those advanced stats that like I'm not too crazy about, but like the average barrel rate in the MLB is like 8.8%, and Terren's is like 13%. So
what does that mean? Can you break that down?
It means when you hit the ball, how often do you hit the ball on
the sweet spot
on
right?
the barrel,
yeah,
and get like over 100 or over like 95 exit velocity.
Exit velo, right?
Which is, I mean, these advanced stats can kind of make your head spin, but like, you see that and it's like, okay, so you know, when he swings, he does damage, or when he makes contact, he does damage. One way. So he's been awesome. What do you guys think about Jake Fraley going on the COVID list?
Damn it. Just not the right time, Jake. Not the right time.
It just makes like not like him because he's been great, but like there's literally no excuse for it. So like,
no,
it's a selfish move. 100%
it's a selfish move. I agree, but without diving too much into the COVID weeds, it is a personal choice for people getting vaccinated. If you want to, I did. I think all of us have been.
Mm-hmm.
Some people don't want to. It's a personal choice, but those people who aren't, especially in the MLB right now, are going to face the repercussions. I mean, look at the Yankees. They had a big outbreak. Aaron Judge, I think, got it or got exposed or something, and he was at the All-Star game. So I'm wondering for the people at the All-Star game, did they get exposed?
Can you imagine if he got all these guys, these star players on another team?
Yeah, dude,
crazy.
That's team sabotage.
Actually, they probably should have said, if you're not vaccinated, you can't come to the All-Star game.
Yeah, because like that could be like some real danger.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Anyway, I mean, like
it's like some Christopher Columbus shit. Like you sending in like AIDS blankets to the Blue Jays, and you get Vlad Guerrero Jr. out.
Sending in what?
You know about Christopher Columbus, right? They give out blankets when they landed, and they didn't have none of the natives that were there when he landed were able to deal with the disease, not vaccinated, but were able to deal with these diseases that they brought, and they just wiped out whole populations.
Did they give them? You said AIDS blankets
or
AIDS?
No.
Okay, different
just
type
like
of AIDS.
Virus infested,
Black plague,
Okay.
Yeah.
Still,
like
that's
SARS, like SARS or some virus. Like
Jesus,
I
should have paid more attention in history class.
We might have to edit that out. Maybe I don't know. I'm not
we'll
sure.
edit it out.
Yeah. But anyway, no, you're right. You're right. That said, I think Jake Fraley, dude. I mean, I don't know. I'm tired of like coming on every episode and being like, oh, our team should get vaccinated, and they don't. And when they don't, they get COVID, and then they can't play baseball. And it's like
they can't do their job. Yeah,
they can't do their goddamn job.
Like, stuck in LA for 10 days.
We're trying to go to the playoffs for the first time in 20 years, and you're out here just getting the virus that is so 2000 and late.
Yeah,
I mean, come on.
Nice one. But
what rapper said that? I'm so 2008. You're so 2000 and late.
Yeah, that's Fergie. That's Fergie.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, that's Fergie.
Oh, shit, that's embarrassing. I said Kanye.
Wait, what? You said Kanye. What did Zweifel say?
He asked.
I just said what rapper.
Oh, no, I mean, Fergie's a rapper.
2008. So 2000 and late. Yeah. Fergie said that?
Fergie said that.
All right. And, all right. I'm a country music guy. Okay.
See, that's disgusting. And Boom Boom Pow is the name of the song.
Oh, you're so right.
Yeah.
You're so right. Yeah, I'm gonna hit that boom boom boom, that boom boom pow.
Something 2008.
How about our 6'6" gas throwing right hander Logan Gilbert?
Let's go. He's 6'6".
Yeah, he's 6'6". He's massive.
Stepping on your toes.
Word.
Yeah. So we have won the last 9 times that he's been out. The last 9 times. 9 times.
You guys know what that means? Yeah, there
you go. Come on now. And no other team has won 10 since Garrett Cole with the Astros. Won 10 in a row. So next start with Logan Gilbert on the mound, going for a recent record break to get 10 in a row. With
who that's against? Because it'll be after the Rockies series.
Either Oakland. It'll be against Oakland. The last game against Oakland, I'm sure.
Yeah, another Gilbert stat is that the last 8 games he has a WHIP just under 1, and 51 Ks with only 10 walks. And
Wow.
the last two he has 17 Ks. So
yeah.
I mean, he's just trending in like an unbelievable trajectory. So.
I mean, this is what I'm excited about, right? Because like when we got him, he got the rookie jitters, I feel like. And he's worked out some kinks, and now I think we're starting to see his true form. And one of the reasons why we drafted him in the first place, right? I totally think he's trending in the right direction. And
Logan,
Logan, and I think, dude, I think at this rate too. Well, you can make a case for different, depending on who we acquire. And one of the things I do want to talk about before we sign off is the trade situation, trade deadline. But I do think that Logan Gilbert, and this might be a hot take, has a chance of starting opening day next year.
Oh, yeah. Dude, he's our ace right now. I'm like, just like those first two.
What about Shohei though? I'm just thinking out loud.
You mean Kikuchi?
Yeah. Or yeah, I'm sorry. You say.
What about him?
Yeah.
We missed out on Shohei. Don't rub it in, man.
Yeah, exactly.
What if we got him, man? When we were trying, that would have been.
I would still say I think there's a chance that Gilbert is. We'll see what happens with Yusei. I think he's gonna get that 4-year, $66 million extension. And if you do that with a guy, you probably throw him out there.
Yeah.
And who knows? I mean, I think Marco's out of the conversation, but honestly, he hasn't even been in a routine, and he's a very routine oriented pitcher. Like he could turn it up and be who we've always thought he was, like in the season. And if that's the case, he's right there for us.
Right.
As good as you say, but
yeah. Well, okay. One other thing. Before we talk about the trade deadline, the last topic I wanted to bring up was we were having a conversation at a bar, Chris Sobba, with our buddy Marshall. He brought up a point, and actually, the reason I'm bringing it up is I've heard it a couple times now in the past couple months, just for folks that like talking Mariners with me. It's the hypothetical situation of trading Mitch Haniger in order to continue building the team, right? And that situation has given me pause. And the reason that is I don't think we should get rid of him whatsoever for a couple of reasons, right? Number one, it would piss off the clubhouse. And Chris Sobba, I think you concur with that, right?
100%.
Number two is everyone else's opinion is like, oh, we're in rebuilding mode, right? Like, what if we're in rebuilding mode? Why don't we trade Mitch Haniger? And it's like, well, the rebuilding is supposed to have been done by now, right? Like, there's not done by now. I mean, you really take account for COVID last year. Yeah, no, fair, but we're not reaping any benefits by trading away our best player anymore, right? Like, we've gotten rid of all the big names. Mitch Haniger is the one solid name that, arguably hasn't become a household name, we'll say, right? But like he's arguably one of the greatest Mariners, one of the greatest hitters on the team. But that seems to be a hot topic these days, is getting rid of Mitch Haniger in exchange for some younger guys, right? I wanted to know what your take on that was.
If first things first, if he got traded, we could not. If he got traded and we got prospects in return, that would just be so shitty and that would suck. The clubhouse would be pissed because he's the one of two veterans on the hitting side, him and Seager, but he's the better veteran because he's playing better.
Right.
You're just taking that leadership away from the clubhouse. And JP Crawford, after Mitchie hit that grand salami, JP Crawford walked and hit the walk-off grand salami. It wasn't a walk-off, but he in the post game, he's talking about, he's like, dude, Mitch is our guy. Like, I absolutely love him. Like, when I got on to first base, I knew he was going to do something and win us the game. And it's just the leadership and the camaraderie that he brings into the clubhouse. It's one of those unmeasurables that I love to talk about in baseball. That would be so tough to replace, and especially if you're taking that veteran leadership, that person away from your clubhouse and bringing in prospects who obviously don't bring that, you're just kind of shooting yourself in the foot.
Right.
I don't want to trade him.
No, I mean, I think at this point, there's absolutely no way you can trade him. What I will say, though, and I mean, knock on wood, I really hope this doesn't happen, obviously, as a huge Mariner fan. But if we somehow find ourselves out of contention after these next couple series, like we just lose 10 in a row or do something crazy, then, I mean, it would be like if we were never a winning team this year and we were to come into the trade deadline with Mitch Haniger. At that point, you have to trade him. If you're not going to make the playoffs, you have to make a very cut and dry decision. Holding on to this guy for an extra year because he has one more year of club control doesn't give you as much value as what a contending team who needs an outfielder. Like, it would have been perfect if the Braves didn't get Jock Peterson and we were under 500 and we could trade with them, and they would have given us. They have a number of starting pitchers they would have going to part with.
Yeah,
a number of prospects. They have a great third base prospect that would probably come up and replace Sear. But bottom line is, we're not in that spot. We're a winning team. We're a buying team. We want to add to this team. So no, you keep Mitch Haniger because right now he's probably your best offensive player, and he's batting 2 for you. You need that guy. You take him out, and this team is completely different, and it's it's not a playoff team. So no, we're ahead of schedule on the rebuild, and we just didn't know we were going to be there. So I mean, Mitch last 9 games, he's batting .406. He has 3 multi-hit games, 4 home runs, 11 RBIs, and a 1.286 OPS.
Wow.
I mean, he's playing like a all-star for the last.
He's playing like Mitch Haniger.
But you could turn that around and be like, hey, if we weren't in this position, or if we do fall out of this position, his trade value is super high right now. So, obviously I don't want to trade him, but it's not completely out of the question.
It's not. And I do agree with the point. If we do go on a skid, that's where that door would get open much more in looking at that from Jerry DePoto's standpoint. But in the opposite side of the spectrum, if we continue doing what we're doing, we got to be, I just don't think I don't want to sell. We got to buy. We got to be buyers.
Right. Well, let's go into that. Who are there any, you don't have to put out specific players, but I think we know we need a starting pitcher, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We need one more, and I think ideally you like him to be a right-handed starting pitcher because we're pretty lefty dominant.
Are there options from Chicago?
Yeah,
I know you like the idea of trading with Chicago.
Yeah, we talked about Chicago in our group chat because they lost I don't know, they lost 16 of 18 at one point. I think they're playing the Diamondbacks now, so they've recouped a couple wins, but I mean, they're in sell mode. Chris Bryant, is going to be a free agent, which would be a good ad. But as a starting pitcher, the guy that I'm looking at is 33-year-old Kyle Hendricks, who is their ace. 3.77 ERA. He's still at 33, probably has 2 more years of being a number 2, number 3 pitcher in the league, in a rotation, and a good rotation. And I mean, that's exactly what we need. And I was looking at this guy who he waives trades and who you'd have to give up to get a certain player. And for Chris Bryant, I sent you guys over. He was like Taylor Trammell straight up, which I would do.
Yeah.
And then for the Chris Bryant, I mean, it's guys that you don't really even know in the system, like an Adam Macko and a Isaiah Campbell, who we've talked about. But I mean, not your top prospects, but in your 15 to 25 prospect range. And it's for sure, I would definitely get rid of a couple of those guys to get a guy like that.
Right.
And they already sold Jock Peterson. That's the first kind of big move of before the trade deadline. So Chicago has basically already come out saying, obviously, that they're sellers. And that they went on an 11-game skid, which that just kind of put the exclamation point on that. But I would love to get Chris Bryant, especially with Seager out next year. Chris Bryant actually hasn't been playing third base much at all this year. He's been more in the outfield, which was funny hearing him mic'd up during the All-Star game while he was in left field. But that's just kind of a guy that, we do that a lot with our own players. We put them in different spots and where we need filled. But next year with Seager most likely being gone, Chris Bryant could go back to his home at third base.
Yeah, and I guess even though they're trading starting pitching, they would be trading an older starting pitcher. Like I said, he's 33 years old. They want starting pitching, and we have some guys we could give them, and it wouldn't have to be a Dunn or a Gilbert, or not a Gilbert, but a Kirby or a Hancock, our best prospect. But we could part ways with like a Brandon Williamson, a Isaiah Campbell, like we said, even Sheffield could kind of sneak into that discussion if you're not completely sold on him, which a lot of us aren't.
Yep, I certainly am not.
I'm not sold on him whatsoever. Not whatsoever.
The concept of him is phenomenal, but he's not proving anything.
Yes, but with all this, trade talk, but we're also been talking about prospects. One other thing that happened this last week was the MLB Draft. And I'm not going to go out here and say I know anything about it because I know nothing about the MLB Draft.
No one does.
A gentleman who we had as a guest before, Mr. Joe Doyle, the director at Prospects Live and writer for Lookout Landing, he's joining the show again, and he's going to be on to talk about the draft and Harry Ford and whatnot. Max, you want to say something?
I believe that's our first repeat guest.
That is our first repeat guest. Can we call him a friend of the pod now?
Yep.
Well, we're gonna
see
have
how
to
it goes.
we're gonna have to ask him about that next week. We can ask them. Can you be our friend?
We're asking about it tomorrow. So for y'all listening, Monday Mojo recorded on Sunday, dropped on a Monday. We will be dropping a little bit later than normal on Monday when you're listening to this today. Because we're talking with Joe at 10 a.m. on Monday, and then we'll release it. But that's going to be a fun interview. Like I said, diving into the draft, hearing his 2 cents on what we did right and kind of, where our prospects currently are that we have. And then I really do want to hear more about Harry Ford, because apparently this guy's just a freak athlete who drafted as a catcher / center fielder. Don't see that too often. A guy that is listed as both of those positions, but he is. And then I am going to also bring up first thing I'm going to talk about with him is viewpoint on JP, because in our initial conversation with him, we were talking about how he's probably most likely going to get moved. And this is before the season even.
This was Joe Doyle made that comment about JP's swing, right? It was there was an audacious replay of JP that I had a terrible
but obviously all that's gotten fixed, and so I'm really excited to hear his 2 cents on that. But without further ado, coming up next is interview with Joe Doyle. First of all, welcome back to the show. First repeat guest we've had, which is awesome.
Oh, nice shirt. I like that shirt.
Yeah, I had to buy it after Ty France hit that walk-off way earlier in the year, and he was wearing it post-game interview. So
how long did you have to wait?
Oh my God, man. I think 2 months. It was on back order. Yeah. So baseball they come out with some good shirts, because he also had the can't spell home run without or Haniger without home run, HR, which I thought was good. But I love this shirt. I've been seeing it more and more around the stadium, actually, which is sweet. But man, you just finished the busiest time of your year and also just got married, man. How's all that kind of going together?
Wild, man. That was the craziest 4 days of my life. The wedding was beautiful and perfect, and I really couldn't have, built a better wedding. And then, bless her heart for putting up with me in the draft for 3 days after that. Man, it was a whirlwind, but glad it's over, and honestly really excited to jump into the 2022 class.
So when does that start? Do you just start pretty much like right away?
I have 280 reports already done for the 2022 class.
Damn. Did you do that all since the draft, the 21 has ended?
Yeah. I mean, we've been working on 2022 for probably 3.5, 4 months. Of course, there was about 95 guys on our top 600 that didn't get drafted and are now draft eligible juniors. So they moved over. But PG Nationals just finished up yesterday. And so we got about 200 reports from kids there. And Jeff, who also works for us, is at the Cape Cod League, and he's doing a bunch of Cape Cod coverage. So, I mean, we're going right back into it. We're going to release the top 100 here, maybe this week, and excited to talk about new names.
Yeah, there you go. Well, first thing I wanted to also touch on, in our first conversation, the biggest question that we had, not really draft related, but was JP Crawford. and kind of what was going to happen with him. And obviously he's exceeded, I think, most of our expectations with what we had coming into the year. And I know is like, I remember you tweeted something out with one of his swings, and his foot was just wide open and every slider going low and away he was missing. Just kind of curious on your thoughts since our first conversation.
Yeah, I mean, credit where credit's due. I've been proven wrong for sure. The mechanics are cleaned up. More importantly, like feet aside, the hands have been so much better. I mean, they're a lot quieter. They're not drifting as the ball's coming to the plate, and he's using the entire field. I really like that he's shortened up his swing and he's not trying to swing for the fences, because frankly, his margin for error finding the barrel is just so small that he needs to play up the middle. He needs to not try and launch ball pull side. So yeah, I mean, you're talking about a guy that's one of the best defensive shortstops in the league. And so really, if you can just get a league average offensive contributor, like a 100 or even a 105, which I think is what he's close to running right now, weighted runs created plus, like that is more than good enough to not anchor, but be an integral part of this lineup through 2024 when he becomes a free agent. So I love everything I'm seeing. I don't know. I'm not sure if he's ultimately going to be a prototypical leadoff man, because the walks have certainly come down. And he doesn't run, which is always strange to me given his body type, and he does have decent speed. So, I don't know if he necessarily fits at the top of the lineup when we're in a competitive window, but he certainly looks like the shortstop through 2022. And, if he continues on this pace for the, distant future, the stretched out future.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping to see that. And the only kind of, I guess, negative thing is the lack of power. You see the other shortstops that are the superstars of the league, and they've all got that home run pop. And he's like, what? He's got three this year or five?
He's got five, but yeah, I'm actually a little surprised he has five, to be honest with you. But we'll see what happens with the second half. If that guy finds a way to run into 10 home runs, I mean, you're talking about one of the top 10 shortstops in baseball. So yeah, that would be huge for his development.
Yeah. And then I guess to kind of get into the draft, I was reading up, and you were pretty bullish on Harry Ford, correct? Before we drafted him. And so I noticed he's also from Georgia, and we got Emerson, Hancock, George Kirby, Kyle Lewis. I mean, it seems like we love drafted from Georgia. So kind of curious on your thoughts there.
Yeah, I mean, the area scout out there in Georgia does a really, really good job. I think George Kirby is North Carolina, but in any case, like Kyle Lewis and Harry Ford and Emerson Hancock, like grabbing that many players out of Georgia, and not to mention, was it Tim Elliott? I think was from Georgia. So yeah, I mean, the team obviously has an affinity for that state, for that region, for good reason. There's a ton of talent coming out of Georgia each and every year. I'd call it a hotbed for sure. And, there's a ton of showcases that take place in Georgia. So, yeah, I will never be opposed to drafting out of the state of Georgia. There's a lot of good ball players.
Hey, Joe, Chris Zweifel here. I wasn't on the podcast last time.
Chris?
You were on, but yeah, I admittedly, I kind of get into this thing late, because with the MLB draft, I don't really know who's coming out. There's high schoolers mixed in with college ball players, and I don't really watch too much college baseball, but I did kind of do a little bit of research, and I really liked Khalil Watson and Matt McClain. I thought we were going to go the shortstop route, just because, reading up on different websites, you see those names pop up a lot. So when Watson and McClain were there, I was all of a sudden I'm real disappointed when they weren't picked. But what do you think about those two guys? And if you had that pick, if you're the GM, who would you have taken at that spot?
Yeah, I mean, I don't mean to toot my own horn, but Harry Ford is my guy. Like, I had Harry Ford as the pick. I had him number 8 on our board for the top 600. Very high on Harry Ford. Khalil Watson was number 9. So certainly something to take into account. I think I had Matt McClain 17. But with McClain, here's the thing with the Mariners system. Scott Hunter, the scouting director, has done a really good job of explaining this. they have this set up in waves, right? I mean, we've got a wave right now with Logan Gilbert and Jared Kelenic and, Emerson Hancock and George Kirby and some of these guys that are coming. The next wave behind that, you're looking at Julio Rodriguez, Noelvi Marte, and Brandon Williamson and some of these guys. What they have right now is they've afforded themselves the ability to go out and get players that will be in the next wave. So being able to draft a high schooler and knowing that, okay, we don't need someone that can contribute immediately. Like, we don't need someone that can come in 2023 and be our starting shortstop. We have Noelvi Marte. We have JP Crawford. We have all this money to spend in free agency. So I think that what that afforded the Mariners to do is take on a little bit more risk this year. And Harry Ford certainly represents that. Michael Morales in the third round represents that. Edwin Arroyo, high school shortstop in the second round, certainly represents that. Now, to answer your question, so with McLean, the physical tools aren't nearly as high as they are with Watson and Ford. I mean, it's really not even. If you're familiar with who Garrett Hampson is out of Colorado, he's a second base, left field, 70 runner, like really fast guy who will get on base, but doesn't offer very much power. Like, that's kind of what I thought of Matt McLean. Like, maybe a little bit better than Nick Madrigal, a little bit more power than David Fletcher, like that type of a player. With Harry Ford and Khalil Watson, what you were buying was the chance at a star. And I don't think you were going to get that in Matt McLean. And I think why you saw Matt McLean's name mocked to Seattle so much is he fits the Mariners model. It wasn't so much that people were hearing, oh, the Mariners are going to take Matt McLean. The Mariners are going to take Matt McLean. It was, well, Matt McLean doesn't strike out. He's a safe college pick. That's who the Mariners are probably going to take. So that's where kind of all that smoke came from. Now, that's the question between Watson and Ford has actually been a really popular one, and I like answering this. I think if Brady House was on the board, they would have taken Harry Ford. If Jordan Lawler was on the board, they would have taken Harry Ford. Seattle decided that Harry Ford was their guy weeks before the draft, and they were very, very familiar with Khalil Watson. They'd been out to 7 or 8 of his ball games. And at the end of the day, some people weren't even convinced that Khalil Watson was going to be a shortstop long-term. He might have to move to second base. So I think what the team decided to do is they went with Harry Ford, who has a better hit tool, in my opinion, than Khalil Watson, and a similar power projection and the versatility to move all over the field. So while I can obviously understand why fans would be confused and a little upset that they didn't take Watson, who is a projected top 5 shortstop, I can also understand that Seattle probably had Harry Ford. I mean, I know they had Harry Ford higher on the board the whole time. So that would be my shtick.
And my just one follow-up question here. Did you have a comp for Harry Ford, and do you think he sticks at catcher in the next couple of years? Or when?
Yeah. So I said on the Lookout Landing podcast earlier this week, if I was Andy McKay and I was leading player development, I would give Harry Ford all of August, all of September at the Arizona Fall Complex for the team to get a feel for how advanced he is behind the plate. Can he call games? Does he pick up scouting reports quickly? How do his eyes interpret what the hitter is doing at the plate? Can he see that a hitter is out in front of a curveball? Can he see that a pitcher doesn't have feel for the changeup? So he has to, change the scouting report a little bit for the innings moving forward. I would give him 2 or 3 months to figure that out. If it is pretty clear in October or November that Harry Ford is going to be, a 5-year project to stick behind the plate, I think I personally would move him to second base and center field and get him the at-bats in the field. The thing with Ford is you're not necessarily buying his ability to catch. That's not why you draft a player out of high school with the 12th overall pick. You draft the bat, and Harry Ford could have a truly special bat. I've heard the bat compared to Marcell Ozuna. And if that's what you have, and it's going to move quick, you need to find a way to get him on the field quicker and allow his bat to move him up through the ranks quicker. Because the last thing you want is Harry Ford to go to Modesto in 2022. He's hitting like 320, absolutely blowing the league out of the water, but he has no idea what he's doing behind the plate. And so moving him to Everett makes no sense. You know what I mean? So you don't want him to get stale at one level just because he's not showing the advanced ability to call a ball game. So yeah, long story short, I'd give him 2.5 months. Let him prove that he's an advanced intellectual catcher. And if it's not there, that's fine. Get him into the outfield, get him onto the dirt, let the bat eat.
So I'm not saying he's going to turn into Bryce Harper, but wasn't Bryce Harper drafted as a catcher as well?
Well, Bryce Harper was drafted as a catcher, but they moved him immediately to right field.
Okay.
Yeah, so he was a catcher at what was it, Central Nevada JUCO or Southern Nevada JUCO, and they moved him to the outfield immediately. Alex Jackson, the Mariners' first-round pick in 2014, drafted as a catcher. They moved him to right field immediately. And before the question is even asked, like, Harry Ford is not Alex Jackson. They are totally different players and totally different people and totally different skill sets, totally different bodies. Get that out of here.
Good. And then another question on Edwin Arroyo.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen this before, but he's a switch hitter, but I'm also reading he's a switch thrower. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Would that ever, other than
any pitches?
Okay, so that's Pat Van Diet, right? Or is that his,
Pat Venditti? But
Venditti.
Edwin Arroyo won't throw a pitch at any level.
Okay, I was reading that. I was like, that's pretty. I was curious about that. But what are your overall thoughts on him kind of developing and being, in the middle infield?
So I thought Seattle. I know that there was a number of other middle infielders that Seattle had circled on their board that ultimately ended up going before Arroyo. But I like the challenge. It's going to be a really good challenge for Andy McKay and the player development system, because this is a kid that has probably the best arm in the entire minor league system now. It's an enormous arm. He's a plus defender. He's going to play shortstop as long as he doesn't outgrow the position, which I don't see him doing. But I think the interesting thing with Arroyo is the player development system is going to have to teach him how to hit. He's a switch hitter. I think he's a much better hitter from the left side, so they might actually just ditch the right side of the plate at some point. But, he's a project. It's going to take a while for that bat to click. And if they can get him to, a 260 hitter, a 250 hitter with, 15 home run power. This could be a Willy Adames type of player, but like I said, it's going to take time. He's not going to be up as a 21-year-old. He's probably going to be up as a 23-year-old. I'd be looking at 2025 or maybe late 2024. So good challenge, extremely high ceiling. Extremely high floor as an impact defender. So I like the pick, but yeah, they've got some work ahead.
So with the M's, I feel like Dipoto and the process that he's brought and kind of where we're at today compared to where we've been at in previous drafts and where we've been drafted. We've drafted more high schoolers and prep guys this year, obviously, but is that mainly a result of how our developmental system has progressed and how we can now afford to draft them? Because we, like you're saying, 23, 25, when these guys are going to be coming up a little bit later and not right away. Do you think that that's attributed to Andy McKay and the rest of their team and kind of allowing them to fully work with these guys from start to finish kind of?
I don't necessarily think so. I think the biggest launching pad for them going high school at the beginning of this draft is just how stacked the Mariners farm system is right now. There's 15 to 20 guys in the farm system right now that you could see by the end of 2023. So there are so many reinforcements right around the corner for this organization and so many trade pieces for this organization right now that it allows you the ability to take some risks. Because if you just think of it, what would a college pitcher do for the Mariners in the first round this year? Let's say Ty Madden was on the board. I know you guys like Ty Madden quite a bit. So if the Mariners have Emerson Hancock and George Kirby and Ty Madden and Logan Gilbert and Brandon Williamson, at some point you have too many reinforcements at the same spot. And if that's the case, why not dip your toes in something a little bit more volatile, a little bit more high ceiling, and set yourself up for 2025, 2026, and kind of diversify your portfolio in terms of ages and players that are coming up. So, I don't think them going high school is necessarily a product of Andy McKay doing such a good job. I mean, the farm system is developed very, very well, but I don't think I don't think they correlate, right? I think it's more so that the team just really wanted to, they're stacked right now for the next 2 years. So you might as well start planning for the future.
And then what about the Angels giving us our 9th no-hitter of the season with drafting all pitchers? What do you think about that?
I loved their draft, actually. I know a lot of people had questions about it. College pitching is boring, yada, yada, yada. But I had the Angels as actually one of my top 5 or 6 drafts in the league because, they were grabbing guys in the 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th round that at one point or another, Prospects Live, we had him in the top 100. Grant Albanese out of Louisville in the 14th round. Like, I had that guy as a top 100 pick at one time. Braden Olthoff out of Tulane. Like, I loved that pick. Here's the thing. Like, the Angels don't have a great window, right? Mike Trout's 30 years old. His injuries are really starting to creep up on him, and they have Anthony Rendon signed for, an apocalyptic amount of money, and he can't play. So they need guys that can get into the system immediately and, start to contribute. And another thing about college pitching that I do like is it's an easier piece to trade. Like, you can trade college pitching and it has value. Whereas, like, if you take a high school shortstop in the 14th round and overpay him, a lot of times that won't have the trade value as a 22-year-old college pitcher that's in AA. So that would be my take. I loved their draft. I thought it was solid.
Has that happened before where there's been all pitchers?
No, the record was 19 pitchers in the top 20 rounds, and they broke it. They were the only team to ever do it.
That's wild. Well, Evan, you had a question, right? You wanted to ask?
Yeah, Joe, you just mentioned a few minutes ago about the Mariners having such a stacked farm system, and now we're 2.5 games back in the wild card race this season, and the trade deadline's been a pretty big talker. About like Mitch Haniger's future and all that. What do you think the Mariners should do? Should they be buyers? Should they be sellers? What's your take on that?
So I hate sounding like a team homer because I try to be as objective as I can be with this team and stay away from, Jerry Dipoto is doing a great job, but I really do think Dipoto needs to jump on a deal if it's there, and if it's not there, don't do it. Like, if you can go out and get Jose Barrios or Luis Castillo or Herman Marquez for something like, George Kirby and Joe Rizzo and Levi Stout, like that sort of a deal, I would do it. But if I'm seeing these trades that, the Mariners should go get Chris Bryant or they should go get Max Scherzer or, these 1-year rentals, I just don't see the point in it whatsoever because Seattle is a tough market to sell to any player to sign a long-term deal, and trading away assets for 2 months of a rental without the guarantee that they're going to stay seems really foolish to me. There are deals that I think they should make, like The Athletic reported a deal this morning for Seattle going out and trading Levi Stout for Merrill Kelly, who has a $5 million option for 2022. I like that deal.
Diamondbacks, sir.
Yeah, Diamondbacks. Yeah, I mean, it gives you some safety with your starters getting hurt. It gives you a pitcher into 2022 that kind of allows Hancock and Kirby and those guys to develop without the pressures of needing them immediately. You don't have to convince anyone to sign with the Mariners. You just have them for 2022. Like, I like that type of deal. In terms of like 2 month rentals, if you can go get Jonathan Scope for cheap, I'm all for it. If you can get Adam Duvall for cheap, I'm all for it.
What about Eduardo Escobar?
So Escobar sounds like he's going to be really expensive. Okay. And I'm not interested in paying that. I would be interested in paying the 2 guys that I have circled for this offseason and for right now, specifically this offseason. I think Nick Madrigal from the White Sox would be an interesting target. I think they've really cooled on him. And I think you could probably get him for not a terribly expensive package. And then the other guy, like at some point, the Royals have to move Whit Merrifield, right? If the Royals are going to move Whit Merrifield, this would be the time for Seattle to get it because they need a second baseman, they need a right-handed hitter, they need some production at the top of the lineup. I think Merrifield would be a great fit in this lineup. So to answer your question long-windedly, if the right deal is there, great, but I still don't think it's time to force it.
We had one more. We had Kyle Hendricks as another target. What do you think?
Yeah, Hendricks would be great. Yeah, Kyle Davies would be great. I think these are great options. But just don't trade. Like if I'm going and grabbing 2 months of Kyle Hendricks or 2 months of Kyle Davies, I think you might get an extra year with Hendricks. Like I'm not trading more than, like I wouldn't trade Austin Shenton, right, for any of those guys. Maybe you trade like 110 or you trade Brian Perez or, some of these different arms, but I'm not trading a top 50, top 12, top 15 prospect for a 2-month rental. No way.
And what about Mitch? Like I personally don't want to see him leave mainly. I mean, obviously because he's good and one of our best players, but with the lack of veterans that we have in the clubhouse, he's one of, like, realistically, in my opinion, two, him and Seager. Like I remember after he hit that grand slam, JP was talking in his interview saying like how like helpful that Mitch is to the team, the leadership that he brings. And I feel like moving him out of the clubhouse, especially at this point in time, would not be beneficial for the clubhouse.
Yeah, I am so firmly in your camp. Like moving Mitch Haniger makes no sense. None. I mean, unless you are blown away, like unless the White Sox come calling and offering up Michael Kopech or like Garrett Crochet or, some crazy deal. I saw one, the Athletics deal this morning was interesting. They offered up to the Padres. Will Myers comes back, who effectively replaces Haniger in right field. And then you also get Adrian Morejon, who is a lefty that throws 99, could start. And then Tucapita Marcano, who's a versatile guy, can play anywhere. Like, that's interesting to me because Myers replaces Haniger and you get prospects back. But I just think trading Haniger right now sends a pretty terrible message to the fans, especially going into 2022. I just don't. How are you going to replace that production?
You can't, especially with, it seems like we keep getting injuries in the outfield or COVID's going to break out and Fraley gets down for 10 days. Mitch has been consistent.
The narrative surrounding we're not going to have the at-bats, like we're not going to have the outfield spot for Mitch Haniger it's just nauseating because like, I just don't know how anyone can make that argument with Kelenic batting up 110, Fraley on his third IL sent of the year. Trammell can't hit. He runs into a fastball every once in a while. Like, Kyle Lewis has been fragile. Like, Haniger is the only consistent outfielder that we have. And to say he's not the future, I think is just ridiculous because who has shown that they are the future? Are we sure Kelenic is going to be the future?
I don't know. I'm happy that he's gotten a hit in his first 3 games, but it's when I'm looking at his swing, he's still dipping at that low and away slider when it's going.
Yeah.
Obviously
I give him a pass for that. Having to face all these lefties has been a brutal reawakening, and he has Herman Marquez tomorrow. So it's like, Jesus, welcome back to the league. But in any case, like, you can't run a product out there in 2022 that is Kelenic in center field, Fraley in left field, and Trammell in right field. Or I guess Kyle Lewis would fit in that equation too. Like, but you just can't do that.
Would you see Kyle going back to center?
Maybe the team thinks they can land Mark Canha to play left field or something in the offseason, but unless you are dead sure that you're going to land a bat like that, there's no reason to move Haniger.
Yeah, I agree. And then do you like seeing Cal Raleigh up?
Yeah, he couldn't do anything else in AAA to prove that he was more ready. I've been saying all along, like, if Cal Raleigh comes up and hits 200, that's going to be a success.
Yeah.
Like, he's a better defender than Luis Torrens. And, if over the last 2 months of the season he hits 200 and hits 7 or 8 home runs, like, that's a success.
Joe, you mentioned what is it, Braden Olthoff?
Yeah.
Are you do you watch John Boy on YouTube?
I've watched some of his videos, and I'm pretty sure I know the exchange that you're going to be talking about when they tried to bust him for a sticky substance.
Yeah. So that's how I mean, I don't get super deep into these names, so I would never know who that is. But when you said that, I was like, Tulane. I know a Tulane pitcher. I saw this this video of this guy who almost or he didn't, but they accused him of using some sticky stuff or whatever.
Oh, he was 100% using sticky stuff.
Oh, he was?
Oh God, yeah. So many of those guys were using sticky stuff, and the fact that the umpires didn't.
Oh, they just didn't do a thorough job.
Yeah, they just didn't catch him, but he was, which is. I mean,
yeah, because he came out and he was like, "Look, they checked me. Like I'm good."
So what do we think about Hector Santiago? I mean, I know he's actually, and I love this. I saw on Twitter that he's out in Hawaii with the family right now, treating it like a vacation, which is honestly like deserved.
He's getting paid for it. He might as well, right?
And I just think it's BS that the league comes and gets him as a scapegoat for this.
My biggest issue with it, I have two issues. One, the fact that Major League Baseball isn't willing to use a lab to look at any of these pieces of evidence. And two, the fact that umpires are essentially judge, jury, and executioner here. I just don't know what Hector Santiago was appealing if there was no appellate, right? So technically there was an arbitrator who works for Major League Baseball, but like if Santiago isn't in the clear here, like who's gonna win their appeal? It just doesn't make any sense to me. And I think Major League Baseball certainly got what they wanted here by having a scapegoat, having like a sacrificial lamb or whatever. But like we're talking about sweat and rosin. We're not even talking about sunscreen. So yeah, I have a big issue with it. But what can you say anymore?
It is what it is. It does suck, and I do love that the next game he came out to pitch, he grabs a rosin bag and throws it, and then everybody's kind of like, "Oh, what are you doing?" He's just kind of joking around with them, which shows his humor side. But yeah, Joe, really appreciate it. It looks like we're up on time, my man, but really appreciate you coming back on. It was great to catch up. And did you guys, Evan, Zweifel, did you guys have any other questions you wanted to ask?
No, we about wrapped it up. That was awesome. Thanks, man. Appreciate that.
All right, guys. Yeah, always thanks. A pleasure. I'll jump on with you whenever you want.
Appreciate it, man.
Awesome. All right. Take it easy, guys. We'll see you.
All right, boys. Good interview.
Yeah, that was a great interview.
Yeah. I love that guy. He's always a good talk. Always good talk.
He gave us great stuff on the trade deadline, and luckily, I hit on my two guys. I was like, Khalil Watson, Matt McLean. I actually love both those guys.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't like McLean as much. He's like, Watson was my number 9 guy.
Yeah. Well, what else do we got to finish here? We got to, I guess, do picks to hit, and then kind of preview what we got coming up this week. Okay. Well, let me check our schedule here. We got Colorado, and then we got Oakland, I believe. Yeah, Colorado and Oakland to finish it out. Okay. So, dude, that Colorado series coming up is going to be a little tough with starting with Marco going against German Marquez. That's going to be tough for us. That's going to be really tough because I don't know if we're going to be able to hit him, and I don't know if we're going to be able to have them not hit Marco the way Marco
in the altitude as well. The balls would be.
So we're going to need some dingers. We need to get to. I mean, German Marquez, he's been fucking raw, dude. He's been really good. So
yeah, we've seen him before this year, and he did pretty well against us. But yeah, it's not an ideal ballpark to be going into to try to get right if you're Marco, and he's a soft throwing lefty. If Blackman or Story gets a hold of one, then it's probably going over the fence. Hopefully, it's just a solo shot, and just give me 5. Give me 5 of 2-run ball.
5 innings.
5 innings, 2-run ball, and then we can get it to the 6th, and I just don't. He can't go out there and completely take us out of a chance to win the game anymore. I mean, these first inning and it's 2-0. The other team. It's like, all right, Marco, let's go.
we got to get through those first couple innings. He's got to get into his groove earlier than he's been doing, because that's where he gets hurt. And then he does sometimes seem to figure it out in that third to fourth inning and get back on track. But it's the early innings that really mess him up. And like the leadoff home runs sometimes, or the first inning home runs, it's like that's what's really kind of the not helping, obviously. But we split the first one with Colorado. First series we had, the 2-gamer in Seattle, and now we're going to them, which to y'all listening in the first segment of the show, which was recorded yesterday, Zweifel and I were talking about potentially going to Denver today to go watch them. That is not going to happen, unfortunately. But later next month, it does look like the whole Monday Mojo crew will be flying to Oakland to catch a couple games there. So we'll keep y'all posted on that. But speaking of Oakland, after Colorado, we got a 4-gamer against them. And 2.5 back of them in the wild card right now. Those are going to be massive. Those are going to be massive for where we can kind of get to, especially with the importance of where we are at near the end of this trade deadline. If we can split or win that series at 3-1, just more pressure to Jerry to make some freaking moves,
Yeah, when I'm looking at scores at the end of the day, I'm watching the Blue Jays, the Yankees, and then the A's. Those are the 3 teams that are if they lose and we win, I'm doing a big fist pump. But Cleveland's coming up the board as well. They're right on our heels. They actually took 2 out of 3 against Oakland. Would have been a sweep
huge for them.
Yeah, it would have been a sweep, but Jed Lowry hit a 2-run. Well, and that kind of sucks because it gets Oakland a win. But if Cleveland would have swept, then I think right now they're only a game or game and a half behind us. So they would have been
one game behind us.
Yes, 1 game behind us. So they would have been a half game behind us. There's a lot of action in the AL wild card right now. But picks to hit, I think if you want to get there now, Evan just keeps winning. And I had a great week, man.
I did not.
I had 15 points. I think Evan had 17.
Yeah, I just called it because I knew, the All-Star break, Mitch would have a little bit of some rest to kind of get that, mind all right and all that. And he really came out to play this week. And so thanks, Mitch, for giving me another W on the on the pick'em, and I'm just gonna keep rolling with it. But
to remind everybody, add Cal Raleigh, who got a goose egg. So that was sweet.
Did he play every game or what?
He did not. He didn't play the last game. He played the first 2.
Man,
Mitch Haniger got 70.
I wish we were just doing
3. Hold on, he got 70 points in 3 games.
17
in 3 games.
Yeah.
Jeez.
He had a grand slam, which is a 8-pointer.
8. A 2-run bomb or a 3-run bomb in the 9th.
Yeah, and then I had a 3-run bomb, so that was sweet. But Evan just keeps cleaning up. So I guess I would have let instead of doing weekly, getting a win for the week, if we were just doing a total score right now, I think Evan and I would be 1-2. But it's not how it's going.
It's not how it goes.
So Evan, you got first pick. You just can't take Mitch, but
okay. I'm gonna steal a little bit of Chris's thunder right here and go with Viva Ty France. So I'm going with him this week.
Bastard.
That's my guy. That's my guy for the week. He had a bomb yesterday, right, against the Angels.
A 3-run jacker.
Yeah, I think he's gonna keep that going into this week. So
he's been hot, man. He's over 300 since like May 25th. He's got I think like seven bombs or something. He's been doing really, really well, and so that's really fun to see. But Zweif, you're up.
Is there any other way to do it? We just swap picks. I take Mitch Haniger. That's the way to do it.
Damn it.
Yeah, I like Mitch in the high altitude. I think both of those guys are going. So give me Mitch, and then we'll roll it back this week. Hopefully I can get on the board with a dub.
Oh, man, I don't know who I want to take. Crawford went 0 for 5 yesterday, but I feel like he's still like out of the other guys that we have, kind of the best option to go with. Maybe Luis Torrens, but I don't want to gamble on that. So I'm gonna go with JP. I gotta go with my guy JP. It kind of sucks. I'm just like looking at our lineup and not having Jake Fraley in there because of how well he's been doing. damn you, COVID. But yeah, JP is going to be my pick to hit there. So we'll see. And then Max didn't text us back, so chalk up another L for him. But also I was seeing, I'm kind of curious on y'all's thoughts here. Who would you rather see win this series coming up between the Astros and the Indians? Do you think that there's any chance in the world, with us being 6 games back, you think there's no chance in the world we take the AL West? And I really don't either. I'm just kind of trying to, see what your guys' thoughts here are.
I mean, it's really hard to say because I hate the Astros. They are my least favorite team in baseball, but I would like them to sweep the Indians. Just take a team out. We don't need 4 teams going for the last wild card spot. Just let me focus on the A's, the Blue Jays, and the Yankees. And then we'll just sweep the Indians out of there and don't have to worry about them. But, well, I mean, not necessarily, but it would help if they just added 3 losses immediately to the record. So,
yeah, they're 5. They're 5. The Astros are 5-5 in the last 10 games. So they're not doing the normal Astro things, I guess.
Yeah, there's still plenty of ball to be played left too. I mean, we're just starting the second half of the regular season, so 6 games isn't that much of a difference with that amount of games to play. So and
a lot of them are against Houston.
I mean, yeah, I hate to be the Scrooge, but I just think the Astros are a lot better than us in a lot of ways.
They are. They have better bats and more experienced bats, but we got the young juices.
Well, we got Jerry. We got Jerry.
Yes, I'm bullish on Mr. DePoto, as if y'all listened and you couldn't tell. I am. But yeah, other than that, boys, I think that kind of wraps everything up. Do we have any other burning things we wanted to torch before we get out of here?
No, great interview with Mr. Doyle.
Always appreciate him. If you guys don't follow Joe Doyle on Twitter, you should. He's big on he works with Lookout Landing and director for Prospects Live. Great guy. Good insight on everything, as you can tell from the interview. But yeah, go give him a follow, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So looking forward to what we got coming up. Day off here today, as it is Monday. But seeing what we can do against Colorado, seeing what we can do against Oakland, and see if we can continue this hot streak. It's kind of all I got. So go Mariners.
Keep it rolling, boys.
Go Mariners, baby.